After a year of using Android, I'm finally switching back to iOS, and mainly for this button, not really for the button itself, but rather having a camera within the 16 Pro Max. That's going to be something that works for me and my workflow. I'm a content creator, so I do need a camera that works well and works well with the Apple ecosystem. Now, Apple started all of this last year with the 15 Pro, which actually started to have Apple ProRes, which was a very good addition to the 15 Pro lineup. And initially when I bought the 15 Pro, I thought I was going to use it a ton. I was really sick during Halloween, during Apple's first ever evening Apple event, and that call out at the end that it was shot on the 15 Pro actually made me jump to the 15 Pro. I didn't really use this phone that much within the past year, but lately I'm going back to creating reels for Instagram and doing all of the content creation and posting stories there. So if you guys don't follow me, definitely follow me there at Nerd Graphics, but I'm posting a lot more over there now as well. So having an iPhone just works really well for me. And some of you might say, why aren't you using the 15 Pro, or why haven't you really been using the 15 Pro for the past year? And honestly, I feel like iPhone, even the 16 Pro Max, doesn't really compete that great when it comes to having a folding phone such as the Samsung Galaxy Fold 5 or the Fold 6 that just came out. Those phones are just the best when it comes to watching content consumption, as well as doing some multitasking. I don't even think multitasking even exists on iOS. So because of that, I was using the Fold 5 for quite a while, and then I went to the S24 Ultra, which has a great camera, because something that the Fold really lacks is having good camera features. So because of that, I actually went to the S24 Ultra for a while, and then went back to the Pixel 8a, and then ultimately ended up using the Pixel 9 Pro XL for the past few weeks. And honestly, these still have great cameras. The Pixel 9 Pro XL is always a great camera. I really like Google cameras, but the S24 Ultra did have a pro camera within the native camera app within Samsung. So I really think for professionals or someone that really likes to tweak a little bit more of the settings, Samsung is definitely going to be the way to go for photography and videos if you're on the Android side. But where Samsung falls a little bit behind to the 16 Pro Max is that Apple started including that ProRes log that's going to be included with their Pro phones. The other place where the iPhone actually is a little bit better than the Android is having a better compatibility list in terms of having easy editing apps, ease of access into all of those editing apps through their Mac software. Now, Samsung does have a similar ecosystem. You can probably find a tablet or one of their Galaxy notebooks, as well as Google having the availability for their tablet or going with a Windows machine. But what Mac does really well is having that kind of seamless transition between having an iPhone to going to an iPad to going to the Mac, having iMovie, which is a free editing software. And I'm not just talking to all of the pro creators or all of the content creators out there, but even if you just like taking all of your photos from a family vacation, you can just put them all together through iMovie and then export a video that you can have to share your memories with family members or just to look back on at a later time. And if you are a content creator and you've been enjoying using iMovie, at a later time you can upgrade to Final Cut Pro, which honestly the whole interface looks very similar to iMovie. I managed to get my wife to go over from iMovie over to Final Cut Pro because she wanted a little bit more editing power, and it's so easy to learn. The learning curve is so small, especially if you've already been editing in iMovie. And I know Blackmagic has a free one, DaVinci Resolve, but I feel like the learning curve on that is just so much greater and so much steeper than going with Final Cut Pro. And Final Cut Pro is going to cost you money, but in compared to Adobe, it's not going to be subscription based. It's going to be a one-time payment, and you're going to be able to use it forever and then add all the plugins that you want later on and use this as your main editing software. And if Final Cut Pro does cost a little bit too much, or maybe it just has too many features, there's also other iPad apps that you can use even now on a Mac, like LumaFusion. LumaFusion costs less than $100. It has very similar features that you would get from Final Cut Pro, or you can even go with Final Cut Pro on an iPad. That one is a little bit subscription based, but it does cost a lot less than going with Adobe Suite or outright buying Final Cut Pro for Mac. And as a content creator, I do use Final Cut Pro, so I might be a little bit biased there. But Final Cut Pro on Mac is so easy to use, but whenever I exported the videos being on Android, it was a little bit more difficult to get on my posting schedule, to get all the files to be kind of brought back to Google so that I can post it to Instagram. Now, Samsung made it a little bit easier. They do have Smart Switch, so you can connect your S24 Ultra or your Samsung phone to your Mac, and you can just click and drag files over. That's really easy to use, but with the Google Pixel, not having Android file transfer made it really difficult. Now, I did find an app called NearDrop that works on Mac, and you can use QuickShare from your Pixel to send files over to your Mac, but unfortunately it doesn't work the other way around. So I can easily record videos with the Pixel, send it to the Mac, edit, but that's where kind of that seamless compatibility stops. Whereas from the iPhone, being that it's from the same Apple ecosystem, it's easier to just airdrop files over to the Mac, edit them, and bring them back. That has really brought down my editing time and my scheduling time on the iPhone a lot less than being on an Android phone. And then the last reason why I'm going to be using iPhone as my main driver for a while is going to be because they have tons and tons and tons of accessories to use with MagSafe or just with the iPhone overall. Something I've always liked about Apple is that they are very well supported by tons of brands that you might know and tons of brands that you definitely don't know that you can just find on AliExpress, that you can get a lot of accessories. And whether that's because Apple is just the biggest brand here in the US or because they really do just sell a ton of accessories as well, there's a lot of third-party manufacturers out there that are making accessories for the iPhone. Even cases for the Android phone now come with MagSafe because they know that there's just a huge compatibility for MagSafe. Even though we originally didn't really think it was going to be much when the iPhone 12 launched, now it's just become kind of like the standard for a lot of mounts and a lot of accessories out there. I'm just waiting for the day that an Android company decides to launch something similar rather than just using MagSafe to see what their compatibility list could be like. Maybe they launch it in a different way than the MagSafe is on the iPhone. And just like Android, Apple also has a really good ecosystem to where I already own a lot of the accessories. I have the AirPods Pro for my headphones. I have an Apple Watch Ultra for my wearable. I have obviously MagSafe here. I have a MagSafe puck that I can use. I have a Mac. I have an iPad. I have the Apple Pencil for the iPad. And then all of those really have their own accessories that you can purchase as well, from laptop sleeves, tablet cases, tablet keyboards. Like I said, the Apple Pencil, screen protectors that make it feel like paper. Like, there's really a lot of accessories, and Apple is definitely one of the biggest companies that's supported by third-party manufacturers. I feel like it's just one of the biggest consumerism products out there. Anything that you sell to Apple users, a lot of them will purchase it, especially if it protects their iPhone, their Mac, or their tablet. And unfortunately, when it comes to Android, there's not really that many manufacturers that support it. In fact, when I bought the 9 Pro XL, I went to my local Best Buy. I was looking for cases for the 9 Pro XL, and there really wasn't any available there off the counter. Whereas if you go to the iPhone section, you literally have a whole aisle dedicated to iPhone accessories. Whether that's just because Android phones don't really sell that well, or maybe Android users are just a little bit more consumer conscious, I don't really know what that is. It just means that Android users probably aren't buying as many accessories as an iPhone user would. But what are you guys' thoughts? You guys have a lot of accessories for your iPhone. I will be daily driving this phone for a while, so definitely let me know any questions you guys might have for the 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max lineup, how it compares to the 15 Pro. Let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you guys for watching. Click here to watch another one of my videos, and I will catch you guys in the next one.